S. Forget what an S looks like. S. So. See, I'm forgetting how to spell again. Shit. T. So. T-I-R-E-D. See, I'm forgetting how to spell again. Shit. Not good. So tired. Fatigue. Yeah, that's what was happening. I was losing. I can see things are happening in my head, and things are happening actually quicker than I thought they would. I think I'm going down. I mean, I just can tell my neurologically I'm not as sharp as it. See, I'm misspelling words. Fat. And this is what was happening at the hospital. So I got to get past the point where I forget how to spell. Then I'm no good.
Right.
I like this kind of DNA thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. So it looks like things kind of falling apart. Tired. Okay, so good. Now I want to go back in with pens, and let's see here. I'm going to do this. We'll go thick pens, and my strategy, the way I do this is, this is going to look like shit. Let's see. Hang on. I want to. No, I want to use a brushing ink. Brushing ink, get a kind of smooth, fluid quality. So I need a brush like this. Okay. I'll go over it with crayon and water.
So first you're gonna do the fluid and the ink, pen and ink.
It's all just be brushing ink. So now this is how fast I work. I work very quickly.
Very fast.
Yeah. I would like a little pool of ink to work from. Okay. I'm just gonna quickly lay this stuff down. What I do is I start changing the directions of the lines. So, I'll just start following different lines. The whole thing will kind of fall apart. But I need water. Where's my little water cup?
No, you want? I have some. I have a bottle. Oh yeah, this one.
This is good. I'm gonna use this. So I'm gonna use both of these.
Okay.
So I start breaking up the drawing as I'm making it. Like I'll go over my lines, but I'll go over them wrong. It just kind of breaks up the drawing.
On purpose.
Yeah. So I'll just follow different paths. It breaks it up.
Cool.
Yeah, it just keeps it interesting for me, but also, because of this kind of broke up effect I like.
Right.
I just want to copy over lines. So.
Right. So it doesn't look real practiced.
Well, if I normally make I'll show you. So here I've got like this line and this line. Instead of copying over like that, like it's drawn, I'll just follow a different path. And eventually it'll come together.
Okay.
But doing that makes it a little more interesting for me. It looks more broken up that way. And that's an effect I'm working for here. So Plus, I can see it kind of has this kind of organ brain look that's coming out. So.
And this is the fatigue one. So
yeah. So
this whole image is fatigue.
If I'm gonna fatigue, I'll go back and rewrite fatigue probably in crayon.
Mm-hmm.
So all this is just blueprint and crayon. And yeah. So nothing, no really old bald moves at the moment.
So you just, it's a lot of it like seat of the pants.
Oh yeah, all of it.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. Are you recording a movie or a...
Right now I'm just recording the process on a video.
Okay, that's fine. I mean,
but
video
I'm also,
or just still images?
Well, I was doing still images, and now I'm just doing a video to kind of capture your process as you do it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was going to stop in a second and go back to some still images.
That's fine. Whatever.
Okay.
I'm just trying to get all this down fast.
Yeah. And why do you try to work fast?
I'm impatient.
Yeah.
Besides, a lot of this comes together. It's a lot of it's accidental. It's just throwing shit together.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of work in a way that it just stuff piles up, and you get to a point where you get so much shit piled up, it just starts looking good.
Right.
It doesn't matter really what you're throwing on there, or even if you're paying that close attention. The thing is just get marks up there, get marks. And then you go back in and you can play with it, you know.
Right.
Just got to get stuff out here. Just.
And you're still thinking in the back of your head is fatigue, like you're trying to.
Well, not even thinking that. No, that was
you're just kind of doing.
I wrote fatigue here initially to remind myself what I'm doing here.
Right.
But now I'm just tracing lines and shapes and just trying to have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Just I got this project I'm giving myself. Just follow lines in a path that you didn't initially trace.
Right.
Because I find I get interesting lines and shapes doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go back later and I'll just start laying it down so it's a little more easier to see what's happening. I'll add some dark and shadow, and we'll tie it all together. So right now I'm just throwing marks out there with the intention of throwing marks out there. This isn't too complicated. I'm just really kind of just being real loose and free about it, just making marks, lines.
Some are lighter, some are darker.
Yeah, so it's just like a bunch of snarl, you know, whatever this reminds you of.
Tendrils of organ.
Yeah, so when I drew these, I'm thinking I'm drawing little TVs down here, maybe. I'm drawing little mountains on a shore, eroding sand dunes. You know, these kinds of things are going through my head. I'm just quickly making marks that represent that.
Right, and TV makes you tired. I mean, you don't like TV.
Well, I'm not even thinking cartoon. I'm thinking loose, lazy shapes.
Okay, I got you.
Tiredness.
Right.
I'm just throwing this shit out here.
Right.
And then I'm going to go back at the end and just tie it all together.
Right.
So I'm just laying down the raw material here. It doesn't matter that it looks that bad. It's going to be cut down anyway and go into.
Also, with all the layers that you're doing, it's going to look different than right now.
Well, in the beginning, it doesn't really matter what it looks like because that all changes at the end. You know, the whole picture turns the corner at the end. It doesn't matter what I'm doing now, really. As long as I'm just kind of aware of what's happening.
Right.
As long as I'm not just working out like I'm some pro, it's got to be kind of crept toward
childlike, sort of, or
well,
really?
You feel the materials and. You're not trying to make it look like a certain way specifically.
Just kind of visceral. You're going for the.
I'm just laying down marks, and I'm not trying to be real slick about it.
Right.
Just covering shit up, tracing shit over, and just doing my job really, at this point. And trying to have a little variety with the line width and.
Right.
I know I want to have brush and ink only because. I think that look of brush and ink reminds me of like coloring books, comics, something kind of fluid, a nice fluid line. I mean, all those feelings are just loose and childlike symbols, ideas I'd like to have in this piece.
Right.
Versus, say, using a different medium like a chunky piece of crayon.
So you're deliberate in your medium.
Oh yeah. I mean. Well, it's going to be black and white, I can tell you right now.
But in using pen and ink, ink and brush.
This brush is very loose and fluid.
Right.
Versus if I use, say, a chunky piece of crayon, it'd be more of a jaggedy, chunky, waxy look.
Yeah, you want it smoother.
Yeah. Only because I think a smooth line. I want that smoothness.
Right.
But okay, I'm talking to you, so I don't know.
Right.
I got to make sure that I'm.
Yeah.
It's gonna look like fatigue here.
So. Yeah. So yeah.
So I think my ink's a little too gray. I need it darker. So I gotta make sure I dip into the ink and not the wash, because I got both things here. I got this gray wash here. So I'm going to speed up the action here.
Right.
Because the faster you draw, the slicker the line you get. Smoother the line. Okay. So let's see. All I'm doing is drawing lines and shapes. Trying to make my mural. And I can tell you right now, I got two different types of gray here. I got a dark, like a black ink, and then I got this lighter wash, because there's some water mixed in one of these. So I got two values here, two shades of gray here. Okay, and depending on how hard I push on the brush, I get a thicker line. So I got a lot to play with here. But,
so you want that flexibility?
Yeah, but right now I'm not really paying attention to what pictures I'm making. I'm just creating a series of variety, lines, shapes, you know, chopping. I'm just drawing. But I don't want to get too slick. If I make a thick line, I'll make a thin line. If I, you know, it's got to look interesting to me.
Right.
So a lot of juicy stuff here, and I want to make sure every line I write, even if it's a sketch line, it gets covered with ink. I don't want that double look. I want well, I can double up my lines, but every line I lay down, whether it's kind of an afterthought or what, I want to go back and cover it over with ink. So there's a lot. It complicates the drawing, but it makes it look more interesting to me. So like this kind of scribble, I'll treat that as a serious line, and all this stuff. So I should have no just extra sketchy marks here. Every sketch mark should be covered with ink.
So it's going to be dark. It's all going to be ink at some point.
So like this, cover that. And I'll cover that one too. And I'll cover this one. And that one too that I missed. And the ink will be everywhere. So I don't want any double coloring or drawing by ink. So what I can see just looking here, what I'm getting is just a snarly thing. And I'm probably going to want to put some sleeping faces in here. I can see there are eyes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to look through here. I can tell you I'm thinking through this. I'm probably going to, in a lot of these shapes, I'm going to pull out sleeping faces to get the idea that like these mountains or shapes are just kind of snoozing and the whole picture just wants to go to sleep. That'll be my picture about fatigue.
Yeah, I can see the face of the jaws,
but the whole thing's kind of falling apart because it's not really about people sleeping. It's just about the idea of fatigue in general. So the whole picture is going to have to kind of droop. And the whole picture itself is trying to like fall asleep.
So you're not looking. It's not supposed to be a realistic thing sleeping.
No,
it's the whole feeling. It's the feeling of sleeping, of fatigue.
Well, it's got faces sleeping, but they kind of melt into a pile of sand, and then there's droopy shapes that make you look tired when you look at it. And maybe I should just make a big boring painting, and everyone will. The whole thing is just supposed to kind of just droop. In many ways. I mean, droopy looking shapes like this. Melting droopy ship. And this also kind of looks like I don't know, organs or something. I'm making and what else I got here?
Like brain type stuff.
Yeah,
brain matter.
That's always there in the background. So there's and what is it? I don't know. It's just droopy shapes. But eventually, you go back in and you start picking it apart, and the quality of the line and the shapes you're drawing, and that gives So I like that thick line, that super thin line. And go back and draw. Oops.
So you got some variety there.
Yeah. So. See, I love these interesting lines. You kind of pull the brush or push the brush. There's all kinds of things you can do with this brush. Appreciate you listening to me.
Oh yeah, I love hearing about this process.
some dots here just for texture. And I've got, so I'm just using one brush here. What is this? It's a, trying to put it on the tip. Or push
You just found it out. Did you find it, or was it deliberate in what you chose?
Well, I just wanted a pointy brush. I think pointy brush. It's called a round brush. You know, brush that come to a point.
Right. I like that brush. It's a nice. It's a nice size. It's not too big, and it's not.
I can get all this.
Just right.
I can get all this great variety. I push down. I get a nice thick swoosh. I can pull up to a point. And just, this is all on newsprint. I'm doing this. And once again, the way I color this, I'm just doing shapes. I don't have to follow a line. I'm really just outlining a variety of shapes. I like that approach.
It actually goes very quickly.
Yeah, it does. Oops. Okay, moving right along. So, okay, I'll start talking in a moment.
We don't have to talk. Do whatever you want. I don't want to be a distraction.
What I'm going to do is reinforce a few lines. I'm going to go really super thick.
Right.
With a marking pen or something. And then go back and crayon and wash. This thing will be wrapped up really soon.
Yeah, because you've already done like almost half the piece.
This piece is probably more abstract than all the others. Because you can't really see what's happening here. I mean, the others had cartoons in it or imagery.
Right.
Or just pure pattern. This is just...
And that's just kind of what you're feeling right now.
Well, I'm working toward a... It's a picture that's kind of melting apart. It's a picture that's fatigued. It's basically kind of what I'm thinking. There's imagery in here, but the lines are falling apart because they're just tired lines. So the picture's tired.
And does this go along with fatigue, like when you have radiation, or fatigue right now post surgery?
Well, I'm not having. Well.
Are you not thinking that?
I'm just thinking fatigue as an idea.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to translate in real time.
Right.
You know, I'm tired. This is what my fatigue feels like.
Right.
Although I'm illustrating it, I'm illustrating what I associate with fatigue.
I mean, you selected fatigue for a reason.
Well, it's when I reflect, you get tired. Going through surgery, going through radiation. Well, I haven't been through radiation as of this conversation.
Right.
I will in a week or so.
Right.
And I don't know how that's going to turn out. But all that stuff tires you out.
Right, so that's kind of in the mix.
And plus, I'm losing sleep, so I know it's like...
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who's tired understands fatigue. Although, when it's medical, I mean, it gets in your bones. I mean, you realize, wait, I'm tired.
Yeah.
You can't just shake it off. It's like your body wants to lie down, and suddenly you got to just lie down.
Like a bone-cracking fatigue.
I don't know. Actually, now I'm doing really good. I mean,
yeah.
I can't complain.
You're standing a long time. You're very energetic today.
Yeah. Well, I drink a lot of coffee, non-stop.
That'll do it.
So, yeah, I'm just doing my technique. Just outlining shapes. Doesn't matter what letters they are part of or shape. And just finding closed shapes and just outlining them. I'm just using it with this one brush. So here's an angle, here's a shape. They probably spell letters somewhere. But I don't care that it's breaking apart. I like that. Actually, I really like that. Otherwise, I'd just be copying lines. See if I take lines and start coloring them, outlining the shapes from a different angle. It's a different picture, different shapes. It's like a puzzle.
Right.
So I do that to keep it fun for me.